What up everyone? I'm Trey Baird and this is Gossipin' Games. Today we're going to be playing Tetris on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and we're going to be talking about Biloxi, Mississippi, and the speculation that city officials just might be a bunch of racist scumbags. So here's a story that came across my radar. I like to be aware of these types of things because for reasons that I can't quite understand, racial tension, stories of that nature, I find them interesting. Like one of the YouTubers that I follow is Tommy Sotomayor, and he's very controversial in the black community because of his views on black community problems. Long story short, he basically blames black women for all of black people's woes, whereas the popular opinion is that it's the black man's fault. So, I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but I think he's bringing up points that deserve to be discussed. And I find the way that he brings up a lot of the points to be entertaining. I kind of feel like first and foremost he's an entertainer and he's a commentator second. And he probably wouldn't disagree with that. I don't know what he would say, but I can't imagine he would take issue with being called an entertainer. But who knows? I've been wrong before. It does happen from time to time. At any rate, I don't know why I follow these stories or find them interesting, but I also find them interesting just because another subject that I take an interest in is just the general anger that the average person has. People want to be angry like constantly nowadays. And that kind of thing interests me because I don't understand why people would choose to be angry, and this is a good example of choosing to be angry about something. In short, Biloxi, Mississippi, which is a southern town, southern city, it's a big city. Man, I can do this. So, if you're not familiar with American culture, Martin Luther King was kind of a big deal. I've met immigrants who wasn't aware of who he even was, and I think that's tragic because he's one of the most important American figures. What he did was important. It doesn't necessarily matter what I think of Dr. King's views, even though I agree with pretty much all of them. The fact of the matter is that he's gone on to be, arguably one of the most influential people in American history, especially 20th century American history. So it's a big deal as to his contributions to American society. And it's generally considered politically incorrect to downplay any sort of black culture in America. So to demean Martin Luther King Jr. Day is seen as a faux pas. If that makes sense. And what happened was, the thing about Martin Luther King Jr. Day is, it's considered a federal holiday, so a lot of people get it off, even if they probably necessarily shouldn't get it off. It's like most banks close on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Even all those banks where you go into and there's not a single black person to be found, it's still important that they get this holiday off. Because if they don't get it off, there will be hell to pay. But so even though Martin Luther King Jr. Day, it may not be important to everyone, it's certainly a big deal as far as the big picture goes. I need to get rid of that extra line before I go any further, which I just did. Alright, let's go here and here. Yeah, see, now it knows I'm waiting on... Well, cool. This is working out to my advantage, but now I need to get one of those long pieces. Or two. At any rate, the city of Biloxi, Mississippi sent out a tweet. Let's see, what did it say? Non-emergency municipal offices in Biloxi will be closed on Monday in observance of Great Americans Day. Now, what does that even mean, Great Americans Day? Naturally, a lot of people took offense to this. And, you know, Martin Luther King Jr. is generally regarded as being a great American. I mean, pretty much all but a few agree on that. Most people will say that, you know, he was a great American. A lot of people will say he was one of the greatest Americans. So it's easy how someone could interpret this as being a slight against Martin Luther King, like as if to say, you know, we can't act like he didn't exist, but we're not going to acknowledge his name when we mention the holiday. At least that's the way it comes across. Now, the official story is that nobody within the Biloxi government can really explain exactly where Great Americans Day came from. I don't even bother to pause Tetris because that happens, and I find the black screen to be, you know, more distracting than just trying to take a drink while I'm playing. You know, I don't know about your memory, but my memory is not good enough to remember exactly where everything is, so this just kind of takes me out of the moment, and I have to readjust, you know, get back into the zone. So, you know, if I'm playing Tetris or Dr. Mario, I prefer just not to pause at all, but, you know, obviously sometimes you have to pause. And, you know, in Dr. Mario, though, once you get up into those higher levels, if you pause, you're probably done. But I could probably say the same thing about this game, too. Okay, I need something good. I'll take that. Yeah, this is not ideal. Here's my thing, though. People nowadays, people are jealous of the fact that previous generations got to grow up with a cause. You know, people always want a cause. They want something to fight for. And I think a lot of younger people are pissed off that most of the good causes have disappeared. There's not really a whole lot to be angry about. I mean, one of the most recent things was, you know, the fact that weed is still illegal, but it's slowly but surely becoming legal, and it is already legal for a lot of people. So now that most people aren't really angry about it anymore because they know that legalization is coming, and in the meantime, there's plenty of states that do allow it. You're never really that far away from a legal marijuana state anymore. But, you know, that's just one example. You know, feminism is another one. You know, most people will say that women really don't, a lot of people will say that women really don't have it as bad as the feminists would make you believe. But, you know, they gotta have something to fight for. It's not like all these people who are feminists would be happy if these problems didn't exist, because they almost certainly wouldn't be happy. They would just find something else to be angry about, because that's the type of person they are. You know, always looking for drama. So, I mean, it's similar here. And it's not just black people, you know, that get angry about racial things. It's people of all colors. It's because we've been conditioned to always be angry about race. And being angry about race distracts us from real problems in the world. Not to say that racial tensions aren't real problems, but I don't think they're as prevalent as other real problems are in this world and in this country. I think they're not nearly as bad as they used to be. And, you know, in a lot of instances, it's preferable to be a minority. You know, not as many white boys like me get college scholarships for being able to run or put a ball through a basketball hoop. But if you're black, your chances of going to college for such ridiculous things go, you know, upward. There's pros and cons to the whole racial debate. But, you know, my point is that, you know, be angry when it's actually discrimination, but this honestly, you know, strikes me as an honest mistake. An honest, stupid mistake, but still a mistake. I don't think that anyone was trying to be racist when they referred to Martin Luther King Jr. Day as Great Americans Day. It was probably, you know, I mean, you know, it could have been any number of reasons. It could have been someone who isn't as familiar with American culture as others. Keep in mind that immigration is, you know, is a big thing, especially in big cities and in a lot of southern cities. So, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why this could have happened, and the fact that really they can't really point the finger at anyone, you know, makes me think that there's not really anything to point at. There's no intentional malice here. But, you know, people are going to be angry regardless. It's just a fact of life.